I've gone on a fair share of dates throughout the years, and here are some things, lessons, advice, and such, big and small, that I've picked up along the way. Some things that I think are worth looking for, considering, thinking about, and it's the good, it's the bad, it's the ugly, so buckle up. This video relates to the very beginning stages of dating, like we're talking first date, maybe first couple weeks of dating, and everything mentioned in this video is based on my personal experience and conversations that I've had with friends and the stuff that I've read on this topic, because I'm simply just a nerd when it comes to anything related to relationships and social psychology. And yeah, a connection cannot be forced. I don't think we need to write people off immediately. Sometimes a connection can develop, but don't settle for a maybe if it's been more than a few dates. Decide as soon as possible if this is someone that you would actually want to pursue. And if not, just don't let it linger. Now, even if you may want it to work, because perhaps they seem great in many ways, and on paper, you think you should be a good match, but you can't force yourself to feel something for someone, and you shouldn't have to talk yourself into a relationship. The person that you're seeing deserves someone who is really excited about them, and so do you. So just leave them be. Love, in my experience, is very specific. It's not exactly something that you make happen as much as you kind of let it happen. It can't be demanded, it can't be rushed or forced. What's that saying? If you have to force it, it's probably shit. I think the best first dates are the simple, low commitment ones, especially if you don't know the person from before, like if you met online. And having a whole dinner booked only to realize 5 seconds into seeing them that it's just not really a connection. It's just not a fun situation to be in. So don't put yourself there. Attraction is one of the foundations of a good relationship, and it's completely valid not to be interested in someone simply because you don't find them attractive. It doesn't make you shallow, it makes you human. Now, can attraction grow over time? I have found some studies supporting that it can, some supporting that it can't. My personal experience is that if you find yourself needing to convince yourself that someone is attractive in the initial stages of dating, it's not worth pursuing. They too deserve someone who finds them desirable. Speaking of attraction, beware of infatuation. Some people we meet can be very enchanting, they're everything we ever wanted. They sweep us off our feet and we drown into their pretty eyes. In fact, we drown so deep that our brain gets flooded and we can't think clearly. We fool ourselves into believing that things are better than they actually are, that they are better than they actually are. Now, that's not to say that feeling very excited about someone is necessarily a bad thing. Of course, we want to feel that, but just be aware that your brain can be kind of dumb sometimes. I think intentions should be communicated as soon as you feel like you know what you want from a person. You don't really need to walk into a date having, I want to have kids in 6 months written on your shirt, but I absolutely think that bringing up the topic is necessary unless you have a thing for wasting your time and being unnecessarily disappointed. Speaking of fooling yourself, don't become an excuse-finding Olympian. His phone did not die. He did not get attacked by a dolphin. He saw your text, he spent plenty of time on his phone, and he did not call or reply. Or perhaps they replied, but they were vague. They did not include the time and place for meeting up, which are essential, and they got back to you after 2 days. If it's really bad, they may not reply to your text or call, but they will communicate with you by replying to your Instagram story or something like that. And that is not communication. Leave it be and allow space for something better in your life. And also remember that someone who's actually into you does not need to be reminded of your existence. This one goes hand in hand with my next point, which is to take a person's actions at face value. It's one thing to be an understanding, empathetic person, but it's another to be someone who tries to justify people's bad behavior. Someone's childhood drama is not a ticket for them to treat you poorly, and remember that the way someone actually treats you is more important than how much you love them or they love you. Also, and you may or may not find this to be true, but the red flags that you choose to ignore at the beginning will likely be the reason that you break up in the end. Don't be too quick to write people off. So this often happens when we go on a date with a mental checklist of the things that we want in a partner. And yeah, like knowing what you want is crucial for finding what you need, but having a checklist can distract you from being present and from paying attention to how we're actually feeling in that moment with that person. Perhaps they don't have the exact educational background that you would imagine your partner to have, or maybe they're not much of a cook, but how important are these things to you really? I think it's worth revisiting our mental checklist from time to time. In my experience, the most effective way of revisiting a checklist and to process any concerns and emotions that we may have is by doing it with a therapist, and that is why BetterHelp is sponsoring us today. BetterHelp offers licensed therapists who are trained to listen and help you. You get to talk to your therapist in a private online environment at your convenience. There's a broad range of expertise in BetterHelp's 20,000 plus therapist network that gives you access to help that may not be available in your area. You just fill out a questionnaire to help assess your specific needs, and then you get matched with your therapist in as little as 48 hours. And then you schedule secure video and phone sessions, plus you can exchange unlimited messages and everything you share is completely confidential. I think getting an outside perspective is invaluable. I know some of the things that I'm discussing here today are things that I've come to understand with the help of my therapist. With BetterHelp, you can request a new therapist at no additional charge anytime. Join the 3 million plus people who have taken charge of their mental health with an experienced BetterHelp therapist. Get 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/Lana. That's better HELP. Also linked below in the description box. Be honest with yourself about your wants and your needs. Don't let anyone else tell you what you should like. Do you like it when a man holds the door for you or pays for you on the first date? Or do you dream of being the breadwinner? Whatever it is, don't let any outside voices interfere with your genuine needs and wants. Don't ignore obvious signs of incompatibility. Everyone is different, no one is perfect, there will always be disagreements, but you need to know what you're okay with and not okay with, and what you can live with and not live with. You need to know your deal breakers, and don't fool yourself thinking that you can change someone's mind on a fundamental value or belief that they hold. Potential is not a person, it's a figment of your imagination. Don't judge the new person by the old person. It's not really fair to bring emotional baggage from a previous date or relationship onto a new one. Sure, we all carry our experiences with us. They don't just magically go away when we're seeing someone new, but it's not fair to let a new person be punished for the last person. Try to go into it with a blank slate and don't generalize. Don't forget about the friendship part. So typically, and I'm aware that there are people who are asexual, the difference between romantic and platonic relationships is the physical intimacy part. But I think it's good to ask yourself if you would be friends with this person, romance and hormones aside. Would you want to hang out with them? Do they possess qualities that you appreciate in a friend? They say that love is friendship caught fire. I don't know who said it. Don't look for someone who will create your happiness. Look for someone who you would like to share your happiness with. Take precautions. So 5 things, I think it's 5 things that I think are worth mentioning here. 1, if you meet this person online, do a video call before meeting them. 2, look them up beforehand. I'm not encouraging anyone to have a full-blown cyber stalking session before the first date, but look up enough information so that you feel comfortable in meeting them and knowing they're actually a real person. 3, and I know distinguishing anxiety from actual danger isn't the easiest thing in the world for everyone, but if something feels off with a person, don't write it off as anxiety. It may not be, and I don't know, is it really worth figuring out? Maybe not, in my opinion. A bad vibe is a valid reason not to date someone. Always let someone close to you know who you're seeing and where you're going and what time and all that stuff. If at any point during a date you feel uncomfortable, don't be afraid to break it off early. Have a friend call you and fake an emergency or whatever you need to get out of there. Just remember that you don't owe anyone anything. If you're someone who is afraid of rejecting others, or if you can't take rejection, please put off dating until you have worked on those things. You don't want to be in a situation where you're too afraid to say no. Let's say they lean in for a kiss. And you also don't want to be the type of person who cannot take no for an answer. First few dates should always be in public spaces. If you have anything to add to this list, please comment down below. Now, I think it's important to note that no one knows what you truly want and need and feel better than you do. So while seeking advice can be immensely valuable and interesting, letting some YouTuber on the internet dictate your life decisions is quite risky because, after all, What do they know about your life?